What did you think of Lakers' game plan in Game 1 versus the Warriors?
Well, first, so coming out of the Kings series, and I was saying it pretty much from about Game 3 on, at some point, you can't beat the Warriors unless you do something to intentionally disrupt Steph and Curry. You just can't let him operate in that sort of freedom. And I thought he had a lot of that in the Kings series. And it's not just about, okay, well, they're not as athletic up front, so you don't have the rim protection. It's different. No, it's not what I'm talking about. It's the stuff that the Lakers started to do right at the beginning of the game, which I expected Sacramento to do at some point. They never did. Not even in Game 7, right? You didn't even make the adjustment to play on the high side. No help responsibility who was guarding him, whether it's Vanderbilt or Reeves, or I guess, D'Lo got him a little bit, whoever that may be. Literally, your only regard is to make sure he's got to run through your body to come up off the baseline to get to the ball. So you're on the high side, head to the basketball, which defies everything you're taught as a player in terms of jumping to the ball you man, all that stuff out the window. Your responsibility is to make sure every cut he makes is toward the baseline. He can't come out free. And I thought they did a pretty good job. Vanderbilt especially did a really good job executing that, particularly in the first half. He got loose a couple times. You're not going to be perfect in it. And then sometimes, like, Troy Brown didn't do it as good. He got beat a couple times trying to shoot the gap. Curry got a couple of looks when he was on him. But for the most part, Vanderbilt and Reeves in particular did a really good job of following that game plan. And I just think it's almost what you have to do. At this point, he's playing so well, you have to completely sell out to him, to disrupt his rhythm on his running routes, where he catches it, how he gets a DHO, like whatever it may be. And I thought their game plan going in was to do that. They stuck with it pretty much the entire game. And then the adjustment that Kerr made later was Steph bring the ball up, right? Because now you can't deny him there. And now he's going to get a ball screen in the backcourt. He got a ball screen in the half court. Now it's a little bit different. Now you're forcing the Lakers to react to a lot of stuff, and he got loose on them a little bit. Whereas I thought for the most part, the first 3 quarters, they did that game plan, really a lot of attention to detail, did a good job on it.
So there's a lot to unpack there. I want to point something out because I do think the adjustment they eventually made was good, and I think that's the adjustment going forward, and that is just to put the ball in Steph's hands and allow him to play some ISO basketball, allow him to play more out of pick and rolls. 43 pick and rolls in Game 1 for the Warriors. I believe that is the 3rd lowest of the entire season. They had success, 1.21 per direct pick and roll, 1.24 when they involved Davis. You could see that late in the game where they're really trying to tire him out. Your point about top locking, that's the term that we use, right? Top locking is so interesting because I still framed a clip during First Take today, and it was the second possession. And Wiggins is in the corner, D'Lo's off his body. Draymond and Kevon Looney are up top. Draymond has the ball. Kevon Looney's going to set a wide pin down for Klay Thompson. LeBron and AD are just sitting in the paint. The reason they can do that is because Looney and Draymond are non-shooters. Right. Steph's on the other side of the court, running up the sideline. Jared Vanderbilt is on his high side at like 35 feet, not even looking at the basketball. And on the other side, Austin Reeves is in a top lock of Klay, forcing him down to Anthony Davis. Now, he actually ended up making that shot, but the point is we're willing to live with Steph and Klay making back cuts into Anthony Davis, into LeBron James, and have them finish over those guys. And I mean, let's be honest, finishing over Anthony Davis is an entirely different task than finishing over Domantas Sabonis.
Completely, the funneling toward him, right? So even when on those plays when Steph was able to get a dribble handoff, Vanderbilt was coming around that so tight and so fast on his high shoulder, so that the step back was not available to him because he was literally on the outside of his body as he was coming around the dribble handoff because he's just funneling him to this 6'11" dude standing in the middle of the lane ready to beat everything up. I actually did a touch screen. I froze one where it was second half, and it was so ridiculous. I froze it. You had Steph basically on the strong side, near the sideline, top of the key beyond the three-point line, and Vanderbilt was just staring him right in the face, and the ball was right behind him on the wing, and he had no idea what was happening back there. 10 feet away from him at the top of the key to the three-point line was Klay Thompson, and Reeves was staring him dead in the face, no idea where the ball was. And I froze it at a point in time where the other 6 players were within 12 feet of each other in the lane, basically. and it looked like something from 1957, right? Like that looks what it looked like. I mean,
the six players.
Correct.
The six players. I don't remember that defense on Dolph Shays.
No. But I mean, how tightly congested offenses were back then. Like, and I was waiting for like at one point the touchscreen to just turn black and white on me, like just on its own, because that's what I was watching. That possession ended up with Vanderbilt like forcing Steph finally to cut into the lane. He went down to the baseline. He came around. He ended up getting a dribble handoff. Vanderbilt chased him right into Anthony Davis, who blocked a shot. And I'm saying, this is the degree. Listen, you can lay this out, and I think it's a game plan that should be instituted against him at times. Very difficult to find guys that are like that committed. They were so committed to it last night until he had that run later. So now we're going to see what is Golden State going to do to adjust. You talk about putting the ball in his hands, no doubt. But now the Lakers have to be prepared for the counter to Steph having the ball more initially, which he did not a lot of until the second half last night, or mostly really the fourth quarter.
How do you think they should keep AD fresh?
Keep him fresh?
Yeah, because we were talking about this before, just in terms of him. He looked a little gassed by the end of the night.
He looked gassed. Guess what, AD? Welcome to the Warriors series.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, we're making a big deal about the minutes today. I got asked about the minutes a lot, and I'm going, okay, man, I hear you. I know 40-plus minutes is a lot. We play 44. It's a lot of minutes. They don't have a lot of options, and their defense looks completely different if he's off the floor. Do you want to take that chance? So, I mean, it's adrenaline is going to get you through this. Make sure you're taking care of yourself on the off days, because I don't see like this substantial break that he can get that won't be super beneficial to the Warriors. He's going to have to gut it out. He's got to play these kind of minutes, because that's what it's going to take against this particular team, this particular player.
Yeah. The other thing about that you bring up, the minutes lost, right? Or losing the minutes when AD's off the court, or losing the minutes when Curry's off the court. This is partially, I think, one of the differences in the playoffs.
Right.
The bench matters to me. I've been singing that all season, because you need versatility in the playoffs. You need a guy, for the Suns, we'll get to the Suns in a little bit, but you need guys off the bench to give you a game that can maybe turn the corner, right? I think about that Celtics Lakers from 2010, where Glenn Davis and Nate Robinson literally won them a game in the finals.
Right.
They were getting ready to lose. They were down and out, down double digits. I think it was in the second quarter, down double digits. And Nate Robinson and Glenn Davis essentially won them a game. So you need the bench. I think back to Game 7 Raptors series with Joel. Joel played 43 minutes in a 2-point game, and we were minus 11 when he was off the court for those 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It matters. So
yeah.
you got to
no question.
Kind of buckle up.
I always call it, you need unaccounted for offense from somewhere, right? So the other team is game planning, right? And they got the whiteboard and they got priorities. And as an opposing coach, you kind of know the team's roster, and you kind of figure what they're going to get from each guy. And what it takes on a given night sometimes in a playoff game is, I didn't see that 14 coming from that guy, right? So you need nights like that. Look at Hachimura is a great example. I mean, he was so good in the first half of the last series. How many minutes did he play last night? I barely noticed he was on the court. And so it's interesting game to game, series to series, depending who you're playing, that's going to change. But you definitely need those X factor splash moments throughout your roster. I just don't see, I'll put it this way, I see how differently their team would look defensively to the Warriors if Anthony Davis is off the floor. So I just think those minutes numbers are going to be big for him, unless they can, get out to a nice lead and at some point in the first half, give him a little extended rest, whatever it takes. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be close games throughout, and his defense is just going to be a major factor. I think his defense was far more important even than his offense last night.
He had 11 minutes last night.
11, yeah.
One note, because I think the other adjustment is going small more. I'm not saying you don't start Draymond and Looney together, but maybe you don't play them 24 minutes together. Maybe it's 15, 14 minutes. You get more of that small ball lineup. You get more shooting on the floor. They had a 14-0 run in the fourth quarter when Looney was on the bench.